I love you.
Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorge.
And I am the Faceless Man.
Sorry. Welcome to... I know.
I kind of expected you to go into the Wicked Witch. I can't do that. It's too high pitched. My pretties. Fly! Fly!
Get that stupid dog out of my face. This is Green and Faceless on the couch. I love dogs, so that wasn't me. That was, what's her name? Yeah.
Gilda?
Do you know of Wicked? No, Gilda's the good witch.
Gilda's the good witch. I have read Wicked. I did not love it as much as everybody else, but I think I was in the wrong mindset reading it.
Right.
So it's one of those I've always wanted to return to, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, but it was also the same name, I think, anyways, in Once Upon a Time. Oh, maybe you didn't get that far.
Hold on, it's literally right in front of me. I'll find it.
Oh, okay. He's gonna use the book instead of the internet because it was in front of him. Elphaba?
Elphaba.
How? Okay.
I don't think that doesn't sound right.
I don't think that's right.
To the
internet. I don't even know what point I was going to try to make with that. So, secret review of The Wizard of Oz and Wicked, I guess. And here we are talking about Stranger Things, specifically Stranger Things 4, because that's how they name their seasons, just with a number. And that's cool. Well, I guess.
I guess they do call it just Stranger Things 4. I always called it Volume 4.
Well, it's Stranger Things Stranger Things 4 Volume 1 and 2.
That's fair. Yeah, I just always called them Stranger Things Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4.
Yeah,
that's a personal thing.
But I think they were trying to just go with that, like, 80s franchise feel. Right. I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I thought again, this is all personal. I haven't looked a lot into the behind the scenes and what. Well, I've looked a lot into the behind the scenes. I haven't looked into a lot of what their decision processes were for this season, whatever. But it kind of felt, because COVID happened. They filmed this back in 2019, right. 2020, right before COVID, and then COVID happened, and the kids in the past 2 years they're no longer kids. They're adults now. Right. They've all grown up. And so I think what happened was they had edited the entire season. It was ready to be out. But then because the kids were aged and their idea for season 5 no longer works because of how old the kids look, they were like, all right, we'll put out the first 7 episodes because there's 9 in this season, right? 9 episodes? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right.
So it's I feel like they put out the first 7 episodes because they were already done. They didn't have to make much changes, but they had to make a lot of editing changes to the last 2 so that they can make the story of season 5 make sense. I feel personally, that's what I believe.
I believe it. I believe it because life and everything. So since the volume 1, the first the first 7 episodes came out, I have gone on the journey of my complete rewatch of the show. Since I started it either the day I finished the first volume or the day after. Anyhow, I'm like a half an hour, maybe, I think 40 minutes into the finale episode of Volume 2, which is 2.5 hours, just to warn you. They play with the time a lot in this series. My
biggest issue in this season.
Yeah, I know you don't like it, but there's reasons why I like it, but they did do it a lot.
Yeah, a little too much. Too much fluctuation in their episode runtime, specifically for season 4.
Yeah,
it's my biggest
well,
fault.
it's usually an hour 15-ish. That's the average, I'll say. But, with the 2:30 episode being the outlier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that second to last episode, I think, was an hour and 30.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, and there was a lot of episodes that came close to 120 or like, yeah,
that's true.
It's too much. Because here's the thing, like, when I first came upon Stranger Things, I mean, the episodes back then, they were still fluctuating. They were like 50 to 60 episodes per season. Maybe even 70 episodes 70 minutes per season. I mean, it was like the first show that I was able to binge watch by myself in a long time. Because it's like, I don't know. I've kind of been sour to that through personal experience. That, like, when I'm by myself, I can't binge watch a show unless it's like Doctor Who. But Stranger Things came along, then I fucking binged that shit. And it was great. I loved it. And then season 4 came out, and I couldn't fucking do that because I don't have that much time at the end of the night.
Right.
I'd be like, one episode would end, and I'd be like, all right, that was an hour and a half. How long's the next episode? Click. Oh, it's also an hour and a half. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, I do feel that. And you know what, though? It does make you come back and watch it the next day. I will say that.
It does. But it's just the one show that I actually want to binge watch, and they made it impossible to binge watch it.
And I think that they did it on purpose, and if that makes you more mad, I'm sorry.
No, I feel like they honestly had 11 episodes of 60 to 70 minute length, but then they're just like, fuck it, we don't want to do this. So then they just like cut them all into bigger, less but big episodes. Not making sense.
I think, there might have been some filler that got cut out. I don't know. There usually is. So here we are. I'm going to do a quick synopsis of seasons 1 through 3 because it's going to be really fucking hard to talk about Stranger Things without some background. That being said, also, we're probably going to be talking some spoilers in these first 3 seasons because, once again, it will be really hard to talk about the other one. So, season 1, Stranger Things. Classic story of, it's not really a classic story, but it does feel like 80s. And because it's based in the 80s, and Mike, Will, Lucas, and Dustin, there they are. There's the 4 of them. They're playing D&D, and on the way home from that, Will Byers, played by Noah Schnapp, gets taken by something. Well, he goes missing anyways. We know that something was after him, the audience. Right. And Winona Ryder, his mom, playing Joyce, she becomes very distressed about that and is trying to find him and whatnot. Yeah. But on the look for Will, the other boys meet 11, played by Millie Bobby Brown, and she's a little girl who ends up having psychokinetic powers.
Yeah. Woo woo. Yeah, it's very Stephen King heavy, a lot of inspiration.
Yes.
There's a lot of love for the King, and especially the King horror.
That's right. So we find out that Will has been taken to a place that 11 calls the Upside Down. And it is Hawkins, but gross. I don't know how to describe it. It looks like a nuclear. I always got the feel of nuclear, especially with the dust or like a volcano went off.
Yes, Mr. Trump or Mr. Bush.
Yeah,
nuclear.
Is that not more like Mr. Rogers? Nuclear.
I think I just remember people making fun of Bush. I think when he was. I can't remember if he said nuclear or what he said, but he said it very weird, and everybody was just like, "The fuck he just said?"
Well, I didn't know I said it weird until today.
Until I made fun of you for it. I'm sorry. I don't even think, though...
I wouldn't even know how else to say it.
Yeah. Nuclear.
Nuclear?
Yeah. It's just nuclear. Yeah.
That's what I said, though.
You said nuclear. Nuclear.
Did I?
Yeah, you went nuclear. Maybe I heard it weird. We're talking over internet. It's possible that it just lagged for a second.
We'll find out in post.
Yeah, I do want to say before we go further, though, that I don't even think we established that it takes place. This show takes place in Hawkins, Indiana. So that's very personal to both of us. After our government shindig, where we lived our lives underground in bunkers for centuries,
out in Area 52.
Yeah, in Area 52. Yeah. Once they released us to good human families, though, we those human families were in the good old Indiana Midwest,
right?
And
so there is a good portion of this story that takes place in a lab with 11. So we both feel at least I do feel very attached to 11, because she gets poked and prodded for the sake of science.
Yeah, she's a government experiment, baby. We know what that's like.
That's right.
There's a lot of this show that's just right up our alleys. It's D&D. It's set in Indiana. Got a lab experiment. Stephen King. There's a bunch of shit. It's all calling to me. That's why I love this show. It calls to me.
It does. It is definitely right up our alley, and I think that we're in danger of just talking about it for hours, and that's going to be okay, except for that we're recording it the day before. So, that does bring me to Papa. Dr. Brenner, Martin Brenner, we find out in this series, at least they use it a few more times than they did in previous seasons. Played by, where the fuck are you?
I'm scanning. Matthew Modine.
Matthew Modine. Thanks. Yeah, he experiments on little children to make them into,
government weapons.
Government weapons, that's right. So, in
what
season
good kind
one,
of people does it? Experiment on little children.
In season 1, we find out that you can somehow communicate between these two dimensions through electronics. Not necessarily electronics, lights. You can do it through lights.
Yeah.
And electricity, I guess. So Will somehow conveys to his mom that he's on this other side, and through the help of some discoveries from Mike being Finn Wolfhard's Wolfhard? Is it Wolfhard?
Yeah, Wolfhard, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was Wolfhard with like a T sound. But anyways, Mike Wheeler, his sister, Nancy Wheeler, and Will's brother, Jonathan, played by Natalie Dreyer and Charlie Heaton, respectively, they find some clues that lead them to a gate to the Upside Down, and they also then, with the help of Jim Hopper, played by Dave Harborough, they get Will back, and that is basically the plot of season 1. I don't want to go too long about it. I do want to mention the other two kids, because I talked about everybody else. Dustin Henderson being Gatton Matarazzo, and Lucas Sinclair, played by Caleb McLaughlin.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because I know a Caleb McLaughlin.
Yeah, I swear I know a Caleb McLaughlin. I know a Sean McLaughlin, and nobody's gonna find him due to that. Sure, it's a super common name.
Yeah,
anyhow,
that's season 1. It's very exciting. It's really well compact, very D&D focused. One thing I love about that season and the seasons to come is that, episode 1, they start off with a D&D game, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And in that D&D game, they set up the events for everything that's going to happen in season 1.
This is true.
It's really cool. I love that kind of stuff. And they do that for the rest of the seasons too, because I know for a fact they did that in season 4. Like, it's exciting.
Right.
That's the kind of storytelling I like, is when you're foreshadowing the events to come and you're doing it in a fun way that feels
right,
like it's part of the environment, like it was,
and they also
you're not going out of your way.
The classic demon lord, the Demogorgon.
Yeah.
In their game, and they end up calling the monster that they meet the Demogorgon. And if you don't know anything about the show, it's this tall, pale-skinned, lanky thing that almost looks like a human, but does not have a face. Instead has like this star-sectioned thing that curls up like a flower bulb. And on the inside, there's a shit ton of teeth.
I want to say it's like a lotus flower, but I might not know what lotus flowers look like, so I'm searching that. It's similar. They curl up like a lotus flower, but the lotus flower itself does not look like their face. So that's a bad example. But they're a cool monster.
Yeah, it's a cool monster, super creepy, super sci-fi. It's really good. And yeah, they call it the Demogorgon, which, if you know anything about D&D, especially 5e, that's like a very underestimation of this creature, especially since in the next season, our enemy of focus is the Mind Flayer, which, which Illithids, at least, and the current version of D&D, all right, that this is years before, so I don't know. I might be speaking on my ass for the lore of the time period, but in current D&D, I'm going to push up my glasses from the bridge of my nose here, and Illithids are a race of beings who are, yes, super powerful and have some psychic kinetic powers, and they have a hive mind, but they are not more powerful than the legendary Demogorgon.
Yeah, I'm very curious because I kind of want to go back to 80s D&D, to like original D&D.
Yeah.
And what was his name? Gary Gygax. I want to go back to his version and like see how much, I'm sure they did a great, the whole show, by the way, it's created, mostly written, mostly directed by the Duffer Brothers. They have other writers and directors helping them out, but it's mostly their visionary baby. And like, I know they did a lot of research, so I'm very curious to go back to 80s D&D and see how these characters that they're adapting relate to those versions of the character way back in the...
I would too.
Yeah.
Especially like the old classes and stuff, I would be very interested in that too.
Yeah. And the kids have their own classes too, like, because you said that you and your wife, when you were watching it, were trying to figure out like what classes.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very much...
Mike is the DM, but later in the show, especially this last season, I think Paladin is the fit.
Yeah, where he's, no offense to Paladins, but in this, he's starting to become a little useless, let's be honest here.
Yeah, I mean, he says it himself. At least Lois Lane was a crack reporter. And
then Will has to get, it's just, there's issues with season 4, but like one of them is that Will and other characters are very useless, but they give them like fakey roles. Like, cause sorry, I said Will, I meant Mike. Mike is relatively useless, but I was going to say because Will tells Mike, he's just like, you're not useless. You're the heart of us. You get us pumped and like, we can do it. We know we can. It's just like, he kind of just does that for one person.
Yeah. Okay. But I will say in the earlier seasons, it makes sense what he says. He did not, this season, he did not have a chance to do very much. This is true. But that is because there is a lot of separation, and we'll get into that. But in these earlier seasons, he is the leader of the party. It's a democracy, but he is the leader of the party. They pretty much do what he says unless they argue about it.
And that's kind of another beautiful thing, though, is like as the kids have gotten older, as they've all developed motivations as they've all brought in new party members, if you will.
Yes.
His leadership has shrunken. By season 4, he's no longer like a leader because there's so many of them and they all have their own desires and paths that, like, the party's split. Basically,
this is true.
And I like that. I do like that.
More into that. We will get more into that, but we're 2 seasons ahead of ourselves. So in season 2. Elle, at the end of season 1, rather, is dead for all intents and purposes. Everybody thinks she's either dead or in the Upside Down or something. And, but really, she is hunkering down with the sheriff, Jim Hopper. He's not a sheriff, he's the chief of police. So I don't know if there's really a difference for this town, or if he takes both titles, like in Misery. Remember in Misery when she calls, she's like, I need to talk to either the chief of police or the sheriff. And he's like, well, you got both of them.
Here I am.
So Dave Harborough becomes her protector and provider. And the rules is that she has to stay secret. And she can only have Eggos once a day. Or something like that.
I forgot she was so into Eggos.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
She's super into Eggos, and it's definitely stronger in the first couple seasons. She gets introduced to Eggos by Mike. It's the first thing that he feeds her, and it's probably the first sweet she's really ever had. Maybe they had Jell-O and pudding at the laboratory. Who knows?
Yeah, but I imagine it was mostly gruel and maybe yogurt.
Yeah, maybe yogurt. Oh, man. Oh, that reminds me of this work thing I did a couple weeks ago. I told you guys about it, where I had to work like a couple of extremely long days. And they provided catering. And one day, they brought over this breakfast that had yogurt that had been heated up with fruit in it.
That's nasty.
Yeah. We were all like, this is inedible. We ate the granola in it because they didn't put that
honestly,
in it.
If anybody ever provides me yogurt, I say no. Like, unless I buy it, unless it's in a cup or something, I don't want it. I don't trust it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Because yogurt's very specific by brand, by, everything.
Yeah.
If you get one type of yogurt, it's got a shit ton of sugar. If you get another type of yogurt, it tastes like ass. Like, it's got to be a very specific yogurt for me. So if anybody's just like, you want this yogurt? I'll be like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
Pass me over.
Yeah. Unless they're like holding out like a personal package that's still sealed. And
I don't know how long it's been out of the fridge.
Okay. If I saw them reach it out of the cooler that I can tell has ice in it, I'll take it.
How long was it out from the fridge before it got put into that cooler?
God damn it, Greg. Nope. You guys just trust people.
I have trust issues, man.
You don't have to, so we'll move on. In this season, not only is she trying to keep quiet, but she is using her powers to check on Mike every once in a while. And Mike is not being a very great friend to Dustin, Lucas, and Will, but they do meet Max Mayfield, a new main character, a member of the party, played by Sadie Sink. Now, Mike is very much kind of rubs against the grain of wanting having her in the group. Will's kind of neutral to it, but Lucas and Dustin, they both have a major crush on her. And they're both fine for her attention. Oh,
I forgot. Not to spoil who wins the attention, but I forgot that Dustin had a crush on her too.
This is true. He does. At this point. And
so
I forgot all about Steve the Hare Harrington.
Yeah, I forgot. Like my favorite character. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I knew you'd get to him.
Well, he's important throughout the show. He's Nancy's boyfriend in the first season. They get together.
And to be fair, he is a bit of a dick in the first season, so I understand why we passed over him then.
in the first season. I say that, but it's mostly peer pressure from his huge asshole psychopath friends. And he does break it off with them and redeems himself in that season. But at the end of the season, you're still wondering, why is Nancy still with this person? I mean, he tries. Sure, but anyhow, he's definitely not my favorite character in that season, but he kind of wedges himself in there in this season because he meets and gets to know Dustin, and I'm trying to remember the circumstance exactly, but they do they just bond with each other, and it's great.
What job was he working in season 2?
This is before the mall. This is before the mall.
So that was third season when he was in the mall. Okay.
That was third season.
I heard that there was a jokey spinoff proposal for Steve and Robin, who is another character we'll get to, I think, in season 3. Robin That's Buckley, right. Played by the great Maya Hawke, who I found out was the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, and has some beautiful fucking music. If you ever have the time, just go out and check out some of Maya Hawke's music. She's amazing. But they're my favorite characters, Steve and Robin. I still have not done that. I'm sorry. But I don't think we said that Steve is played by Joe Keery. I think it's Keery. Yeah, and he just got into a movie. I can't remember. Maybe it was Free Guy with cool. Ryan Reynolds.
Cool.
He was, it came out last year, actually. But anyways, I heard there was this proposed, I say proposed, there's a fan spinoff theory where it's just Steve and Robin, just every single new season, they're in a new weird location of work and working together. Yeah. I fucking love that idea because they just... Season 3, they're working at an ice cream shop in the mall. Season 4, they're working at a video store.
That's true. And we will get into why that happens. But in season 2, I mentioned the Mind Flayer. The Mind Flayer and its portrayal in this early season is this giant shadow spider creature. But it almost kind of has a encephalopod-shaped head. But it is just like a shadow or dust or something, and it exists in the Upside Down. And we discover, especially through information from Will, who had spent so much time over there, that it controls all the rest of the Upside Down, the Demogorgons, and we run into more Demogorgons as his foot soldiers. Demodogs, that's right, Demodogs. And the lab has been taken over by a different doctor, and Dr. Brenner has disappeared. Dr. Sam Owens, played by Paul Reiser, he is also trying to help Will recover. He believes that Will just has post-traumatic stress syndrome, but it turns out that the Mind Flayer is very subtly controlling Will. He becomes a spy for the party on the Mind Flayer, but the Mind Flayer, because the Mind Flayer is actually controlling him, ends up spying on the party. Meanwhile, 11 leaves and goes to some city. I don't remember if it's Indy or I don't know. It might be Chicago. Left those 2 episodes out. I think it's Chicago. It's really just one episode. Like they are the first scene of the season. This new group. But basically she meets a new person who was at the lab with her, 8, and am I gonna pull up who played 8? Just a minute. Just like the amount of like, am I really doing this? Am I really going into these characters? I believe she actually went by Kali because she remembered what her name was. It's Linnea Berthelsen. She is a Danish actor, and she lives in London. She trained in
Yes.
London there for a long time. But anyways, she's not very important to the plot after this, and I really hope they bring her back in season 5 because I thought she was cool. I thought what she could do was cool, the plan, but honestly, they did not use. It basically was Elle is rebelling against Hopper for the whole show, and she leaves, and then she meets this woman who's like her, who is a rebel, and she has a cause. And she sorry, that was so stupid.
You say stupid, I say great job, sir.
So she goes around like murdering people. I don't know why I'm taking so much time to go into this, but she murders people who hurt her and her friends. And Elle decides that's bad because the person they were going to kill, even though this person hurt Elle as well, she finds out he has kids and is like, no, we can't do this. And she kind of just discovers who she is a little bit. Before all this, she does meet her mother who's in a coma, and that's how she gets to this point. And that's more important than, honestly, this little tangent.
It's a nice moment for Elle. It definitely is. But here's the thing, is we learned in this season, in season 4, the most recent one, that the Duffer Brothers have been planning this since the beginning. It's not, a lot of times with television shows, they have a loose idea, but they let the audience, move things around to, make the story better for the fans. But this season, in season 4, you learn certain things that when you look back at the rest of the show and you pay attention more to sound effects and certain things, like let's say a clock ticking, that's been there since the beginning. They've been planning all this since the beginning. And so with that episode, with those characters that are brought in during this very weird and honestly very hated episode of, Elle's sidetrack, because a lot of people hated that stuff. But I feel like, the Duffer Brothers would have looked at it and been like, it's not that strong of an episode, but we need these characters for season 5. We need them for the finale. And, they're going to be, I feel like they're going to be important for the finale because while it's a big character moment for Elle, they could have easily have rewritten it for a better character moment for Elle, the exact same character moment, using a different circumstances.
This is true.
So, I feel like those characters are very important outside of
I would hope
just that one episode.
I would hope so, but when they didn't come back in season 3, it was like, okay, then why? But so we're waiting.
Definitely seems
hopefully they do bring that in. So eventually they do find out that heat being the weakness of the creatures of this world, that they could sweat the Mind Flayer out of Will. So Joyce and Jonathan do that, basically almost kill him. We also get introduced to one of my favorite characters, Murray. He's kind of annoying. Yeah. Murray Bauman is a journalist played by Brett Gelman, and he wants to... He gets involved because he is looking into Barbara's death. She is a student who died in the first season and was Nancy's best friend. Trying to find where she really quick. Barbara Holland, played by Shannon Purser. She was in the first few episodes and makes an appearance in this series.
I don't remember making an appearance in season 4.
She doesn't say anything.
I remember they replayed her death sequence.
Yeah.
I remember. I know what you're saying. I remember now. Yeah. I didn't recognize her.
Yeah, me either. I don't think it really is her. Sorry, I think it's just a prop, but it's supposed to look like her. Anywho, they do that, and at the same time, Elle comes back, Ex Machina style, and takes care of the Demodogs, and also takes Hopper down and to the lab where the gate was reopened under Sam Owen's nose, and they close it. Well, 11 closes it. And she finds out that her name is Jane from her mom, if I didn't mention that, from her aunt, I guess.
Yeah, doesn't she take Hopper's last name too? So it's like her name is Jane Hopper.
That's right. Her name is Jane Hopper for the third, where she does start going to school with these guys, but it's summer break, so they don't actually show that. But
and she's also getting pretty steady with Mike.
She is getting pretty steady with Mike. In fact, that's a big theme in this, is that they're getting a little too steamy in the bedroom with Hop in the next room, and he's like, "At least 3 inches." Like the whole show.
He also gained a lot of weight season 3.
Yes, he did. He's very stressed about it. Boy. Also, like, in the first season, we do learn that Hop had a daughter that passed away from an illness. And so he is kind of experiencing all that fatherhood that he thought he might, but much after he thought he would.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's got that stress, and Joyce is trying to help him by telling him things to do. And, from the previous 2 seasons, you really think that Joyce and Hopper, okay, hold on a second. So, I forgot to talk about Sean Astin. Sean Astin's in season 2. I just love him in season 2. He's Bob the Superman. I'll leave what happens alone, but he did date Joyce. So in the third season, they keep on teasing that Jim and Hopper are going to get together. And at the end, to spoil that romance for you, they do agree to go on a date. But then Jim dies. So
dies with quotation marks, because if there's one thing this show can't do, it's kill main characters.
No, it can't. It's not allowed. Well, so
not yet.
In this season, it's the Mind Flayer again, but it's a little bit different. He starts taking over, like he did Will Byers, other people, and kind of making this army that can melt itself and become big, gross, melty monsters in the shape of the Mind Flayer. Nasty. And they called them the Flayed. And it's gross. And there's an old woman who eats fertilizer in it. Yeah. And, It's
and
gross.
Billy. Don't forget about Billy.
I did forget about Billy almost a little bit. He's very important to this season, less important to last season, besides the fact that he is Max's older, abusive stepbrother. He basically tries to control everything Max does under threat of violence. And also has something real bad against Lucas, probably because he's black. It's not super explained, but that is my guess. But
he is the most Stephen King character of all of the characters.
Yeah,
like hands down.
Yeah, and honestly, even after we find out that his dad's a jerk, I still hate him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like this show does, and he's played by Dacre Montgomery, by the way.
Thank you.
And great job by Dacre Montgomery.
Yeah, he does a good job.
He's that like third act villain that's always in the Stephen King books, where it's just like, they're going after the main villain, and then here comes the bully to come along and attack the heroes before they can get to that, get to the fight. So like in It, it's Henry Bowers chasing the kids down while they're hunting after the clown. Henry Bowers goes into the sewer there. Like he is the most Stephen King. It's great. Like even though his character sucks, his character doesn't suck. It's a great character. Yeah, even though his character's an ass. Yeah, a complete ass.
He's a dickhole.
But with all of these characters though, like the Duffer Brothers do a good job at trying to work in some kind of empathy, some kind of emotional sympathy for the audience. Like, as you mentioned, his father is abusive as well. That's where a lot of his issues stem from, is from his parental relations.
And he just takes it out. There's another Max.
There was another one. Who was there was like, there's other bullet, like Steve. There's, as you mentioned with Steve, like in the first season, he's kind of a bit of a dick. Right. But when you dive into his character, you see where it's coming from. Yeah. And that's what I love about it, is that you can tell where all these emotions are coming from, and they all feel like real characters, even if it still feels like a crazy big D&D Stephen King story. It's great.
He is definitely a broken individual. I mean, he drives at 95 miles an hour when he's going slow, and it's like everybody's afraid, but Max is a pretty decent driver despite being, I don't know, 13 or whatever.
Whatever weird age is supposed to be. Right.
So in this season, he is the chosen vessel to be the leader of the Flayed by the Mind Flayer. And so you get the voice of the Mind Flayer through Billy for a good portion of this season, and it is pretty creepy. And from my rewatch, I can say there is a lot in season 3 that points at what's going on in season 4. It's without being like too much. Oh, that's what they're talking about. But there is definitely a lot more, that there is a personal vendetta against Elle. And that makes sense up to this point without knowing what happens in season 4. And I know I'm just vaguely nodding towards what happens. That makes sense because she's been the one to thwart this enemy the whole time.
Yeah, she's their powerhouse.
So Hawkins' lab gets torn down and a mall gets erected there. The Starcrest, I think, something like that. Anyhow, it turns out that it was run by Russians, and the corrupt mayor allowed them to move in and make it for some money. And they are reopening the gate with their laser. And that's how the Mind Flayer gets here. And anyhow, Joyce is really the one who figures it out because of the stupid magnets.
Yeah.
And she gets help from the teacher, Scott Clark. I forget who plays Scott Clark. He's not in this season. No. Yeah, this is like his only part in the 3rd season too, but he's the kids' science teacher, and he's really cool. Very much a nerd's nerd. And, he tells the kids they got to go on their journeys of curiosity. Why are you trying to shut this curiosity door? That's something that Dustin says to him in the first season. I couldn't find his name, but I do like that character, so I'm sorry. I don't know why he's not in the season. What happens then? They blow up the mall. They blow up the laser, really, so that they can't open up the gate. And in the meantime, as I said, Jim dies. And, Anne Murray helps them with this because he speaks Russian and knows Jim. That's basically how they won that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of basically here's another problem with the whole show, and another problem with season 4 is pretty much it always boils down to Elle screaming with her hand held out while she has a nosebleed. And that's what every single season so far has boiled down to that.
This is
and
true.
It's still, even with all the formulas, of this, how these seasons work, it's still super fascinating. I don't care that they can do this next season as well, and I am still going to be on the couch going, fucking do it! Come on! I'm still going to be excited.
Let's say that this is a D&D show, so they have to figure out the puzzle, right? So they do that,
right.
And that's the really interesting part. Is the different groups of people coming together and then figuring out that they're all on the same thing. That's what these first 3 seasons are always about. Everybody's investigating the same thing, but separately, because they're trying to keep each other safe. That's usually the excuse. Like, let's keep the parents out of this because 1, they won't believe us, and 2, they're not going to let us do this, and that'll be more dangerous than not. And then the parents are like, okay, well, let's keep the kids out of this time because it's obviously dangerous.
Yeah. They can't handle themselves. So, and nobody go to the cops, goddammit. Nobody go to the cops.
Except for Hopper.
Except for Jim.
Yeah. Because he is the police. In fact, he does use that excuse at one point. He's like, oh no, to Mike. In season 3, he does not actually take Joyce's advice and threatens Mike, saying, you have to stop seeing my daughter. It has to stop. And if you don't think that I mean it, I will do something. And he's like, you will not. And he's like, I am the law.
Oh my God. I love it. But okay, so I think we've gotten to season 4, and I'll quickly try to synopsize what's going on in season 4.
Let's do that.
So the party is split at the end of season 3. Elle and the Byers. Is it Byers?
Yeah,
Byers?
it's Byers.
Byers. I had a momentary lapse with ice cream. I was just like, is it Byers? No, it's Byers. You're right. But yeah, Elle joins the Byers and moves out to California under a new name. I can't remember. Does she go under Jane Hopper?
It's still Jane Hopper.
And
they all keep their names, but they're in hiding.
Yeah, and they're out there. Right, yeah, they're hiding. That's for damn sure. Yeah, they're out there in California. She's having trouble accessing her powers because of the strain of the last season, because of a lot of shit going on. Too much to explain and talk about. She doesn't have her powers right now. Their powerhouse is weakened. Yep. And so she's out there. Mike's very sad. He's still stuck in Indiana. His girlfriend's out in California. So him and... Who travels? Oh, nobody. Does he just go by himself? Or does he go out to California? Mike. On summer break.
It's for spring break. He goes out, I think by himself. Yeah, Nancy, the initial plan was for Nancy to go too, but she ended up getting a job. And or something.
Yeah. Her and Jonathan have excuses not to go see each other.
Yeah, there was something important that she decided she needed to stay in there. I don't know. It did seem like it was job related.
Their relationships,
and then
their relationship's weird right now. It's
so
complicated.
Is Elle's and Mike's. To be fair, though. I mean, they both have long distance relationships, and they get weird.
Yeah, everybody is split, and it's very. That's one big issue of this season. Not an issue as in like a detriment to the season's entertainment, but it is an issue in regards to how the story is told. Why the episodes are super fucking long is because you have Jonathan and Will Byers and Mike and Elle all out in California, along with the new character. What's the stoner kid's name? Argyle, thank you. Who plays Argyle?
Argyle.
Eduardo Franco. Yeah, he's got the best weed. Him and Jonathan are smoking it up constantly. He doesn't really do much at all for the show until one episode, but that's fine. He's hilarious.
Hey, but Pizza Tank Mind Battle. That's all I'm gonna say.
I love that line too. Elle's just like, I'm reaching out to you through a pizza tank or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Fuck. Oh, it's dumb. I love it. But you got the party split though. You got them way the fuck out there. You got spoiler alert, Jen Hopper's not dead. He in the most dumb like Doctor Who ending of a cliffhanger ever, like, within like ending a cliffhanger within 3 minutes of opening the next episode. He escaped his death in a miraculous event and was captured and sent to Russia. And he's he is held in a gulag, maybe, I don't know, just in jail.
It is a very secret prison.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even on the USSR's maps. And that is for very specific reasons.
Yeah, and because he's out there, you got what's her name?
Winona.
I just know her as Winona. Joyce.
Joyce
and Murray. Yeah, they are on the mission to rescue Jim. So they just leave their kids. Yeah, well, Murray doesn't have kids. He doesn't fucking care. But Joyce just leaves her kids just hanging out in California. She's like, I'll be back. I'm going to go to fucking Russia and save Jim. Like,
okay. I mean, she says she's going to Alaska because the Britannicas live out there and she works for the encyclopedia company.
Yeah, I'm just quickly synopsizing that. She literally just leaves her fucking kids in California so she can go save a dude in Russia. Like, it's bold, very bold. And then you have the rest of the kids all still back in Hawkins, where all of the action is happening. And that action is there's an individual, they're calling him Vecna. I don't want to say who he's played by before the spoiler wall. I'll wait until the spoiler wall to mention who plays Vecna. But he's amazing. He is so fucking amazing. That's the reason I've been doing that Max voice. That's Vecna. He is the villain. I love it.
Yeah.
Very menacing. And but he is in first episode, you see two new characters. You have Eddie Munson, played amazingly by Joseph Quinn, who is the leader of the kids' new D&D club. They're part of, what's it called? Hellfire?
Yep, the Hellfire Club. It's an X-Men reference.
Okay. Oh, nice. Sorry, nerds.
It comes very shortly before the Black Phoenix. Nice. It's part of the Black Phoenix saga.
Because the kids are in high school now, right? Like, I think they're freshmen.
Yes. Yes, they are.
And Eddie is a senior. He runs... Right. Eddie is a senior. He runs... we didn't even mention Erica. Erica is Lucas's younger sister, played by Priya Ferguson.
She is great.
Sorry, I'm not sure how, if it's
she's interested. She's introduced in season 2 officially. I think the character exists in the background, but I'm not sure it's played by Priya. I'm not sure that it is.
Yeah, and she's beautiful. I fucking love her.
Yeah, she's so hilarious.
Yeah, and Eddie Munson is the leader, though, of the Hellfire Club, this high school D&D group that gets a lot of shits. In the 80s, D&D is getting heavily ridiculed in the media.
Satanic,
it's violent, it's satanic. Yeah, it's awful. And a cheerleader, Chrissy.
Yep, Chrissy,
okay. I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember her name. All I can remember is the basketball captain being like, Chrissy, I love you. You're best. I hated that. It was so cringe. But it's good cringe. It's what they're trying for. But anyways, Chrissy comes to Eddie for drugs. And they basically, after a bunch of events, they go back to his trailer so he can get her some drugs. And while they're there, Chrissy, who has been having visions, she's been having auditory hallucinations as well as visual hallucinations, specifically of a grandfather clock. While they're at Eddie's trailer, she gets possessed by Vecna. And I say possessed, it's not really possession, but it's more basically she hovers up into the air. Yeah, and Eddie is screaming like, wake the fuck up. I don't like this. Like, what are you doing? And while she's in the air, all of her bones snap, and it's really gross, so really terrifying. It's so good. Because it's like that whole first episode, I'm like, I'm loving it, it's fun, but it's very high school campy. And I didn't like that all the characters were split up. I wasn't feeling good in that first episode. I was like, man, there's so much at fault here. And then it has that ending, where Eddie is just like in the trailer, watching this girl just like, completely just all of her bones break and everything, and it is terrifying.
There's some really good cliffhangers in this season, like better than all the other seasons, I think.
Yeah, and I immediately got that I want to binge watch again feeling, because like close to the end of the first episode, I was not feeling like I was going to binge watch this season. But at the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, I want to binge watch this season. Wasn't able to because the episodes are fucking long, but it's fine. But now Eddie's on the run. And the Hellfire Club is under a lot of, the Hellfire Club specifically being Lucas and well, actually, Lucas, he's on the basketball team now.
He's on both. He's on both.
Yeah.
He's both in this club and on the basketball team, and that's one of the first major conflicts between the characters' relationships, is that he's got a championship game the night of the final session of the campaign.
Yeah. And in that final session, Dustin loses and the villain wins, I think, right? Maybe I know Erica has a good role too.
No, yeah,
right, but they lost first because he had a bad roll.
Yes, he misses. But not Vicky. What's her name?
Erica.
Erica, Princess Applejack or whatever her character's name, she kills him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When they defeat him, I don't. Yeah. I can't remember if it was. Yeah, but like it's basically setting up what happens at the end of this season, which is great. Again, they do this every time with the villains, and I fucking love it because it's not a wholehearted victory. There's a lot of mistakes. Their plans do not go well. And that's the exciting thing is like, I fucking love that. That's, you set up these little foreshadows. It's a very fun event. It's a great scene.
Right.
You have the clash with the big basketball game where Lucas is like very, he's sad that his friends aren't there, but he fucking won the game. He had the winning shot. It's very exciting. I love that rift of cause that's what this whole season's about is like, they're all separated. They're all struggling to be a team still. And, even though it's hard to watch because everybody is separated, it's still a fascinating tale. You have to have that moment of that rift moment so that when they all come back together in season 5 to fight the big bad, it's going to feel better. It's going to feel more climactic, more like everything's been, everything they've worked forward to has been accomplished.
I don't know that I necessarily agree that season 4 was hard to watch because of the separation. I honestly thought that there was merit to all 4 sides of the story, or how many sides it was. Maybe just 3. It's 4 once 11 gets back with Dr. Owens, I'll say, and starts trying to find her powers again.
I think it's also fair to say that Dr. Brenner makes another appearance too.
All right, I didn't know if I was going to get into it or not, but I do love everything.
For bringing up Owens, I think we have to.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff, honestly, between Owens and Brenner, because Owens has proof throughout the show that he is much more of a humanitarian than Brenner. Yeah. And
but they were both minor villains, which is something I like too. It's
that's true. I think Owens, he was less of a villain and more of a minor obstacle. Because he wasn't intentionally getting in the way. He was legitimately trying to help Will and contain the gate, which Brenner allegedly opened. And he just was not listening. He was just failing. He just failed. We'll say that.
And I do like the half-assed redemption arc of Brenner. It's not half-assed by the creators, but he himself isn't really seeking redemption too hard, but I do like him coming back.
Yeah.
And trying.
We get to see him in a different light. Slightly different, because he's definitely a very evil man in that first season. Mm-hmm. That's the perspective we get. But we get a little bit more of his earlier perspective on 11 and his experiments. There's a lot of backflashes, we'll say. And I do want to mention, because it's cool, they do this CGI where they make Millie Bobby Brown look younger to play younger 11 in her flashbacks. And I think that it was pretty well done. I think in those last episodes, it wasn't as good. I think they edited those last and had less time to do them because they weren't so good in those last couple episodes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There's a lot of moments where the de-aging, I mean, they haven't really perfected that. There's some, like the Star Wars movies have done decent de-aging. It's not good, but it's very much, it took me out of it. I still appreciate what they were doing because obviously you can't have Millie Bobby Brown play that character again because she's aged.
But the way
I
they
do
did
understand
it,
and respect it.
Play it again. I mean, because sometimes she would be tall, and sometimes the reflection would be the younger version. They do some really cool things with it. Yeah,
I meant you literally can't make her look and act like that young Chinese child again. Act as in like a child. That's what I meant. Is like they did what they had to, and I definitely respect what they did and how they did it. It did take me out because every time I saw it, I was just like, ugh, it does not look like a kid. I was like, that looks like DH Millie Bobby Brown.
It's still too uncanny valley for you.
Yeah.
Well,
But I will say that we mentioned earlier, it's hard for me. When I said it was hard for me because of how everybody is split, that's what makes this season hard to watch, is because everything is happening in Hawkins. There is some exciting stuff happening in Russia, but for the first 5 or 6 episodes, it's mostly just like, look, torture, ha ha ha, and I'm just like, it's fine. But everything that's happening in Hawkins is super exciting. And then we cut out to the stoners out in California, and I'm just like, all right, this shit's funny, but people were dying back there. I want to get back there. I don't care what's going on here. It's a lot of heart-to-hearts. That's basically all that's happening in California is a lot of heart-to-hearts. And I mean, that shit's happening in Hawkins too. It's just surrounded by threat. Right. The stakes in California, the stakes in Russia at the beginning were nowhere near the excitement of there. So whenever they would cut away from Hawkins, I would literally, when that happened, I would scream at my TV like, fucking come on, don't do this. Get back there. It's just like when you're reading that book and they cut away to the other characters and you're just like, all right, how many pages do I have to get until I figure out what the fuck just happened? It's just like, Jesus. That's why it was a little hard, is because until the big finales, the side stories were just boring, in my opinion. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening, and I love the characters, of course, but when we would cut away, I'd be like, oh, damn it, this is why these episodes are an hour and 20 fucking minutes long.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there was a lot of really good stuff, subtext-wise, with Will and Mike.
Yes,
and
I did
11,
like that.
Too. And I will say that this isn't really a spoiler because they really have been building it throughout the show, especially through my rewatch, that Will is gay, and is so heavily coded and hinted at, and he almost has a coming out speech, and I was kind of disappointed that he didn't. Right. And I know that that's been a criticism that other people have said online too. But I just hope that there's some really good story that makes his coming out in season 5 really good.
Yeah, I think they have a big plan because, again, they're not afraid to go into LGBT because Robin's gay.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They've already explored her. So it's I think they are holding it off for a more poignant. They're trying for a bigger moment. It's got to feel more right. And I think that maybe they thought it would be too rushy, I guess, maybe for season, for that final episode, because so much was happening that maybe if they did that, I don't know.
Even had that big
too
speech
wanted it to
Jonathan.
happen.
I just felt even if it was just to Jonathan, but I feel like also Jonathan knows. Also, I think Will knows from what he says in the second season. He says he insults Will and says it's not my fault that you don't like girls. Mike says that.
Insults Mike. Oh, no. Mike insults Will. Gotcha.
Yeah. And gotcha. And then Will runs away upset. And maybe that's in season 3, now that I think about it. Because he is... They both just want to hang out with 11 and Max because Lucas is dating. And they've ditched Dustin for some reason in season 3. But anyhow, we're not talking about that anymore. We have been honestly going on for quite a bit. We talked about maybe doing some spoilers, but I don't know. Maybe we should...
I'm sorry. I feel like we still have to go into spoilers.
You do? So okay, then we need to take a soda pop break at the very least.
Alrighty.
We'll be right back after this soda filling break.
Yeah, the first 3 seasons took 40 minutes. I was like, we can't just go 20 minutes on season 4.
So we're back, and before we put up the spoiler wall, I thought maybe we talk a little bit about how we are looking at making a new podcast that's just for our Patreon members. I haven't really come up with a title for that. I do have some suggestions that Sarah and I came up with.
While you're looking for them, that episode will be a very chill conversation. I'm going to be bringing in the new releases I've seen in theaters, the new movies that is, including big ones like, Thor, the new Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm going to be talking about that. Spoiler-free reviews mostly. It's like I'm not going to, ruin the damn story for you. And you're going to be bringing your TV pitches, because this is I don't know if you guys have noticed, this is a TV Talks, and there wasn't no faceless pitch. So, that's going to be in that episode, along with other stuff from me.
That's true. So, we're going to do that for you guys who wish to join us. We are asking for $10 pledges, $10 a month on Patreon. If that is not something that you think you're able to do, but you still want to support the show, we do have smaller tiers that still allow you to participate in our monthly video, The Potato Pick. And also, if supporting us financially is not something you can do right now, but you like the show, go give us a positive review and 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, or, follow us, like us, subscribe us wherever you listen. And we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I got some titles. So let's see what we got here. So a lot of these just have to do with potato, right? So we could call it home fries, steak frites. We could call it pomme de terre, which is just potato and French.
Gotcha.
Also, earth apple, which is what that means in English, pomme de terre. We could call it bangers and hash.
Okay.
And
I like that.
Okay, yeah. And the twice baked hash down. Yeah. And this is a list that they're all kind of the same here. Prestidigitators, devastators, rehabilitator. I don't like that one actually. Decapitators. No, that's silly too. Meditators.
Rough,
yeah. Well,
that's nice.
Here's a good one. Spectators.
Yeah.
And commentators.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. I'll throw my boat. We want to hear back from you all. If you liked any of those names, you get it.
Yeah.
You can just
also French fry flicks. I want to throw in there.
Yeah. French fry flicks. We were calling it that too. Yep. And I will say I liked home fries. I like prestidigitators, and I like bangers and hash. I think those are 3 decent ones.
Okay. Well, maybe
Commentators was nice too.
Commentators is pretty good too. Maybe we'll put those 4 up on the Patreon page for a public vote and see what happens.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right.
That'd be fun.
Well, we'll see you there. Now, somebody's going to come up here. What?
In case we didn't even say, that's at patreon.com/Green and Faceless.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I wasn't going to say that. So, let's do a spoiler wall. Somebody's going to tell you where to go if you want to not spoil season 4 and finish this episode already.
Yeah.
The wall comes down at 1 hour, 29 minutes, 29 seconds. And sorry for the very bad audio. Hope you enjoy. Bye.
So safe and sound behind that spoiler wall, I will say Vecna was played by, let me get his proper name here because I only know Jamie Campbell. Jamie Campbell, where's he at?
He's
Jamie Campbell
friendly,
Bower.
Orderly. Yeah. Jamie Campbell Bower.
Yeah, my favorite. I've just been loving to tell people this. I don't know why. It makes me very happy. I know a lot of people aren't, big Sweeney Todd. There's a lot of people who might not like Sweeney Todd out there, I guess. But he is the Joanna singer, and Sweeney Todd.
Right.
He's
Right.
I feel you, Joanna. I love it. I love that guy. He's a goofy character in that movie, but in this, holy fuck, is he great? He is so intimidating.
Yeah, I do hope that he gets some attention for this. I'm sure he has.
And I love the makeup and design of his look. I love everything about it, except he is a naked man, and there are some like prosthetics around the mid area that just look a little weird, like kind of goofy-ish.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
they could have touched.
It's like I feel like he would be super intimidating if he just wore like a Voldemort cloak. If he just wore like a black.
You think he should have
robe.
a cloak? I don't know if I agree with that. I just wish that the prosthetic didn't look so weird. But basically, he looks like Lord Zed without the visor.
That's fair. He's fucking great, dude. I love that. I've been doing that voice for a lot recently. It's just Max. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so eerie, and it's like hearing him like walk down a hallway towards you. He's like, "You can't run, Max." It's just like, ooh, he's coming. So, I don't like it.
He comes after Max real hard. If you didn't catch that. Real hard. Vecna's curse is. Let's talk about Vecna's curse. Like I just like it, and that in general. It's real creepy. So first, he targets people who have had bad traumatic things happen in their life, and he starts shooting visions like day visions. Just all of a sudden, your surroundings change just ever so slightly, and remind you of this terrible thing that you've done or had happen to you in your past, as well as a clock. First is the clock, and then it's the horrible things. And then it just gets progressively worse until he actually shows up, and it's like, it's time to take you now. And,
it's time to take your medicine.
In the vision, he puts I realized that only one of his hands have those long fingernail claw things. Yeah, and he puts that like over their head, and his eyes roll back in his head, and he's doing some psionic shit. And they, in real life, their body starts floating up, and their eyes are in the back of their head. And then, as we said earlier, their bones start snapping, and then after their neck snaps back, their eyes just explode, or they're gone. They implode, and then they fall to the ground. And left behind them is a little itty bitty tiny gate to the upside down.
Oh my! I love it. Yeah, it's fucking like great. I loved everything about Vecna, and I still do love Vecna. He's still great. Yeah. But up until the big reveal, and this is big spoilers, so it's like, again, you've already been warned. We're behind the wall. Yeah. He's been behind everything since season 1.
That's right.
He was sent into the Upside Down by Brenner. He was 1. How 11 is number 11, Jane is number 11. He was 1. He was the first kid being tested on. He has a traumatic past, as you find out, that we don't really need to go into.
You say that he was sent to the Upside Down by Brenner.
No, sorry, not by Brenner. Yeah.
It was 11. Yeah.
Yeah. And but Brenner was looking for her, or looking for him. Like, that was most of what was going on in season 1 and 2. The grandfather clock is heard throughout seasons 1, 2, and 3. There's moments where you can hear it in the background, which I think, that's going to be the fun part for me going back and watching it, is picking up these little Vecna hints. But like when he went into the Upside Down, he came across the Mind Flayer, And I believe if what the way I watched it is like it's a mindless like cloud. It's just there in the upside down.
Yeah,
and he kind of inhabits
it. Connects. Yeah, it still connects everything in the world. The hive mind still exists.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes the hive mind like some kind of flying fungus spore flock or something, it itself doesn't necessarily seem to have a motive other than to live in relative harmony with this world that exists. And Vecna even says when he's talking about it, he's like, I found this new world untouched by man. And it really, what does his performance remind me of? Like an old school villain. I don't remember. Maybe it'll hit me by the end of the episode, but probably not. But he's the one who fucks it all up. Like he says, it's untouched by man, which makes it better than that world. But he fucks it up. Like they show the upside down before it becomes a mirror of Hawkins, and it is not covered in ash cloud and vines and stuff. No. It's a completely different alien world, but it still looks healthy. And he corrupts it. Right. And I think that was really cool.
It really is. And like, but the thing I don't like is when it was the Mind Flayer, when it was just this creature of another dimension, there was something awesome about that, about this alien creature coming into our dimension and trying to just destroy it. And now that you find out that it's just a kid who, he liked spiders as a kid, he was really fucked up and he killed his parent, or his mom at least, and his sister. It's just like,
he's an adult a younger
he's an adult now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, that's all it is. It's just like, it's just a beleaguered kid. And I'm just like,
well, man. Okay. So
it kind of loses a bit of that special power.
I see. You think the awe is gone. So for me, what I feel like happened is he gets there, he discovers the Mind Flayer and takes control of it, and he basically is living as the Mind Flayer. Like I feel like he is in the attic of the Kroll house and just sitting there, being the Mind Flayer permanently until he is so fed up with Elle. He's like, I got to do this in person, more in person anyways. Like he is trying to get, that's kind of his goal, is to get back to the world and to destroy it.
Yeah. And like, I like it. I do. That's the thing, is I still do like Vecna. I still do like the story. It feels so very Lovecraftian, even though I hate the man Lovecraft. Like, I love that scope, that big scale of this other world, all these like alien creatures, these gods, these like this huge D&D like world. Mm-hmm. And then to find that that's just a vessel for a normal human being who had powers. Like, it's just like, oh, that's it. It's just humans corrupting humans again. It's just, again. I don't know. There's something beautiful about the Mind Flayer, because for most of this season, for most of season 4, I thought, because he's presented by the D&D kids as a general for the Mind Flayer. That's right.
Yeah.
And I loved that idea. I liked it still being the Mind Flayer, but Vecna is just this one-time season boss who's coming in to wreck shit up, make it more personal. When the Mind Flayer, and then the Mind Flayer would come back in season 5 and be like, "I'm back, bitches. Let's end this."
And I was still for that. I just found the name for Scott Clark, Randy Havens. It's just right there, so I just wanted to say it, Randy Havens. So he is secretly credited behind our spoiler wall.
Sorry, Randy.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I just saw his face on IMDb, and I was like, "Oh shit, there he is."
It was about the Mind Flayer and Vecna being the general.
That's right. I was totally cool with that, even after you started getting the idea that Henry / the Orderly /1 was Vecna. I was like, oh, okay. The Mind Flayer has flayed this person who's super strong. and is now their general. And I wonder if they'll eventually Vegeta him, but no, he's super evil.
Super evil. Yeah. Oh, and fun fact, his dad in this, Henry Creel's dad,
exactly
is played by...
to talk about next.
Robert Englund. Yeah, the amazing Robert Englund. Because Nancy and Robin go to this like, it's a high security prison asylum.
Yeah.
Was it an insane asylum? Okay, because I knew he was like locked up, but I thought it was like a prison. They go there because he was they penned the original murders of Vecna's mom
back in the late 50s.
Yeah, when he was going by Henry Creel instead of Vecna. They penned those murders on the only survivor, which was Victor, the father.
Victor Creel.
Because Henry, I guess, was technically like...
Gotta say that I love the irony of this Freddy Krueger rip. His father being Robert Englund. Yeah. But also I like that when they introduce him, it is that scene is definitely a rip off of the Clarice Hannibal Lecter scene. Like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, he's not at all as intimidating or criminal as Hannibal Lecter.
No, he's scary.
But I love
because
he is scary.
His eyes are cut out.
Yeah, it's definitely a shout out, and I love it. And I love too because he turned around. I didn't know he was in it at all. And like they go up to him and they're like Victor Creel, and then like he turns around, and I was just like, not Freddy. I was Freddy. I was just like, I was so excited. I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't believe he was in this. I'm like, it's a good grab. Like, great job, Duffer Brothers. You're making an 80s
wear a prosthetic,
right? It was just like you're making an 80s love story, basically. Of course, you got to bring Robert Englund in. Like, I'm so happy they did that. That was a great decision. But yeah, that was like my biggest issues with this show were like with this season specifically were the crazy split, the long ass episode length, and then that Vecna was the overall villain. And again, like, it's not an issue. Like, I love what they're doing. I can't wait for season 5. Yeah. But like, it's good I love the Mind Flayer. Yeah, I love that Mind Flayer. It's so cool. And, just to find out that it's just another human, it kind of was a bit of like oh man, humans suck. Yeah. Like,
but I am glad that it wasn't just the Mind Flayer again, because season 3 felt a little repetitive to me.
Yeah. And that I'm in the same boat. I was really happy. I love Vecna. He's very creepy, very, very good. But, I was excited that he might have just been, just the general. But then again, maybe bringing back the Mind Flayer for season 5 would have been the exact same, where I was just like, oh yeah, just the Mind Flayer again, see that in season 3. So like, I do think that the season in the show overall is much better with the path they went. I personally was like very excited for this cosmic being, and then just to find out that it's just another damn human, like, fucking humanity.
Well, that seems like a good behind the wall closing statement, unless there were more spoilers you felt you needed to talk about.
I do want to talk about another. Again, I'm saying like all these are big issues. They're not big issues, but the inability to kill main characters. This show has there's a lot of formula to every season of this show, and it's pretty much, if there's not action happening on screen, there's a heart to heart happening on screen between two characters. So typically, it's like they'll bring in like character A and B, make sure they have a heart and heart. Character C and D, make sure they have a heart and heart. A and D, and B and C, and then in between all of that is a fun action. And, after a while, it does feel very formulaic, but what they're saying, all the character development, it's beautiful. I do love that. But another big formula problem this show has is, look at this new supporting character. Aren't they fun? Don't we love them? They're dead at the end. but none of the main characters. The main characters have plot armor like motherfucker. Even when they die, when that's in air quotes, they don't die. They come back.
Though, since we're behind the spoiler wall, curious what they're going to do with Max. She seems rather hurt. And I'm going to cut this, but I'm just telling you right now, I am recording with my laptop microphone. Arrgh.
Oh, man. Dang it. But yeah, I am curious too. That was the first time they've actually done something big to a main character.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love that. I was very, very saddened because I love Sadie Sink. She did an amazing job this season. But, you know, it's a very rough ending, and I'm just like, okay, I need to know what they're going to do with this character. I'm very excited for it. But all their characters have incredible fucking plot armor.
Yes, 100% true. But what's going on with Max, honestly, is the most cliffhanger thing they've done for the end of this season, besides the big giant X in Hawkins.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck are they? That's just crazy. Yeah. And I love also that, like, I don't want to spoil what the big giant X is, but I also love how they have the Wheeler parents just like being like, oh, now they're calling it Gates to Hell. Like, this is stupid. And I'm just like, yeah, even in the most
believe it. Yeah, Jesus.
Even in the most dire circumstance, like, yeah, where nothing makes sense, no matter what, humans will try to find a easiest possible solution. Like, no, those aren't gates to hell. We just had a weird fucking earthquake. I'm sure of it. It's just, I love it.
There's just fault lines that nobody knew about.
And yeah, they just sprouted these, like, vines and ivy up every single building, but whatever. Oh man, it's good.
I believe Hollow Earth over Gates to Hell.
But like the saddest one though is like, because it's a formula. You know, in season 2, Sean Astin. Here behind the spoiler wall, we can say that Sean Astin died. You know, I can't remember. There was this. Was there a death in season Billy in season 3? Even though he wasn't.
True, but he was in season 2 though.
Right, but he became like a huge, bigger supporting character in season 3.
True.
And, you know, they added the empathy there more. They, like, try to layer it on more, at least in season 3. And then he dies. You know, and it's the same thing here. I like that
vision with his mom, though. I do like that. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. But then here in season 4, you have the saddest one yet. And this is the one that I heard a fan theory about, and I wanted to throw it your way because I think it's interesting. But Eddie Munson, who, you know, immediately worked his way into our hearts by the end of season 1, or by the end of episode 1, I mean, he dies at the end, and it's a very heroic death. I do love his death. It's a very great scene. He gets to play Metallica beforehand, and it's Metallica's Master of Puppets, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, that was like, a great scene.
Yeah, one of the best, honestly. Like, top 5 best scenes of the whole season, I will say.
Maybe the whole series.
But, like, that's fair. But he has, like, a very sad death, and I'm very upset by it because, like, I loved his character. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see how they could resolve his
Me too.
Pretty chaotic plot line.
Yeah.
But the fan theory I heard, apparently in D&D, there's I can't remember what the bats are based off of in the Upside Down. They apparently can't kill, and so in D&D, there's a character who gets like bitten by the bats and becomes like a right hand man to Vecna, and then kills Vecna.
Oh,
so I'm like, that would be pretty cool.
He is still there. He did seem rather dead. This character, Eddie, that is. He did seem rather dead when they left him, but that doesn't... I mean, especially if 11 can supposedly bring Max's mind back, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Right.
Then I would say that Vecna, being supposedly stronger than 11, could easily do that to Eddie.
Yeah, probably. And it'd be very interesting. But I haven't done any research. This is just something a friend told me at work because he had seen this fan theory. but the character's name is Cass the Bloody Handed. Cass spelled Kas.
I remember that character. Yep.
Yeah, the most trusted lieutenant of the despotic Lich, Vecna. Lich? L-I-C-H?
Lich.
Yep. And wielder of the Sword of Cass. Yeah, he betrays Vecna, apparently. And, like, that'd be cool. I'd really love to see Eddie back because I fucking loved him. He was one of my... he was probably my favorite thing of this season. Like, I loved Eddie.
Favorite new thing? 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, favorite new thing, 100%. In regards to acting, I guess I would say favorite. I still love Steve.
Yeah, Steve is pretty great. He does a lot of... I feel like a lot of his growth happened in the does a lot of babysitting. I feel like a lot of his growth came in the previous seasons, but now he's aware of it. And he says some very wise things. And it is, I think,
he's got hair on his chest.
He does have hair on his chest. And we all know that makes you a wiser man. Man, if that were true, my wisdom stat would be 20.
Is it fair to say that the spoiler wall is down so that we could have been
let's do it.
Hitting on that I could have been hitting on Steve without
the
spoiler wall?
Yeah. I'll close it before that so people could know that we're hitting on Steve.
Fabulous. I guess I'll just leave that into my closing statement then, which is, I still, there are some negatives that I went into behind the spoiler wall, but I love this season. Even though it's rocky because it's, the party is split. I love Vecna. I love the actor who played Vecna. Specifically, shout out to that actor. Shout out to Sadie Sink. Ooh, who was the other one? What's Eddie's actor's name? Joseph Quinn. Those three actors were phenomenal in this season.
They were.
I loved them all. Like, Sadie Sink has another scene, because we mentioned one scene behind the spoiler wall that we mentioned is probably one of the best. You said best of the series. I can't argue with that. I would probably say it's one of the best of the entire show. And Sadie has a scene too in this season that's easily top 5 best scenes. And again, also possibly of the entire show.
Yeah.
It's very iconic now. A lot of people love that scene.
Yeah.
It's great. She does an amazing job. I'm really, everybody does a great job in this season. There are some characters who are pretty much useless. A lot of the characters in California, with pretty much the sole exclusion of Elle, and then small moments of all the other characters. Like, they'll have, like, minor things they do to help the plot along, but most of them are just kind of not doing anything this season. Now, the Duffer Brothers have said Season 5 will pretty much take place all in Hawkins, and all the characters will be doing shit. So, they're aware of what's going on. They had to have this season to set up the finale. I give it 3.5 stars, specifically because it's very clear that they have a plan, and all of my negatives are just falling into the, it's part of the plan boat. It's like, just be patient. And in the finale, it'll be more emotional. It'll be heavier, harder hitting. And so I'm very much on board. Still looking forward to what's going on. I love this fucking show. And, Season 4, despite having a finale episode that's 2 hours and 20 minutes, definite recommend.
Okay. That's a good score. If we're talking just Season 4, I'm going to give it a face and a half. And if we're talking the whole series, I'm going to give it a face and a half. But I did just find out that Joe Keery is a little less than 2 months older than me.
Ooh.
Yeah, which...
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like maybe I should shave. I still think I'm going to look way older than him. For one, the hairline. I mean, 100%.
I won't say anything. Out of fear of cursing my own hairline, I will not say anything anymore about other people's hairlines.
I definitely did that with my father. We called him 50 Cent Head, and then we called him 75 Cent Head.
Oh my gosh.
But we also called him Furry Belly, and now look at me. I'm hairy and balding.
With no face.
With no face. So, I love this show, as I've already said. Reasons why I love this show is that, I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to say that there is a more creative and better written show out there that I can think of, especially one that's currently running. And it's even with all the formulas that we've talked about, but it's because it's kind of aware of those formulas and that it works. Because it is a giant reference, really, at the same time. It's just so good. It pulls all of our favorite things from pulp culture, puts them in a blender, and then the Russos spice it up the right way, and it's a good Bloody Mary. The Duffers. Damn
brothers.
it.
Yeah.
The Duffer Brothers.
Okay. We literally talked about the Russos like right before we started recording because they have a movie coming out. Yeah. There's a lot of brothers working in, and just siblings in general working in films, and I love that. That's nice.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, My Human Brother, if you ever want to work in a film, just like put in the money and let's do it. Like, I don't have the money, so you put in the money
and we'll make a movie.
And we'll do it, man. I love it. It'll be a lot of fun. No, but yeah, as you were saying, even though there's a formula, they know how to use it, and they use it really well.
They do.
Because it's like, as I was saying, there's a lot of character moments, but there's a lot of heart-to-hearts, but they're all great character building moments. Like, they do a great job at it. They keep it entertaining, even though it might seem, it might sound boring on paper to be like, all right, here's a character moment, here's a character moment, here's a character moment, fight scene, character moment, fight scene. It's like, you look at that on paper, it's like, I think I might get bored. No, they have a great way of writing it. They have a great way of just filming it in general. It's really nice,
in fact, you probably wouldn't have noticed that the episodes are formulated that way if the Green Traveler from Gorsh had not told you.
I feel like you have to. I feel like it has to be very obvious that after a while, it's just like,
I don't know.
The people in the back.
I really did not look at it that way until you mentioned it. Maybe I would have recalled that once all the episodes were done, but I didn't think about it until I was about halfway through, and you said that was something that was happening.
There's literally a scene in this last season where there are 6 characters in a car. They just got into the car after an action scene, and in the car, the 2 people up front have a heart-to-heart moment, and once they stop talking, we cut to the 2 people in the very back. They have a heart-to-heart moment. Once they stopped talking, we went to the middle. They had a heart-to-heart moment. And I was just like, got it. We made sure all of our characters talked and had a building moment. That's nice. And then right when they parked the car, there was an action scene. I was like,
Was this in the Winnebago or in the pizza car?
It was in the Winnebago. Yeah, it was Steve and Nancy. Then it cut to Lucas and Max, and then it cut to Dustin and whoever was else, maybe Robin. I can't remember.
Robin,
but
why were Dustin and Robin talking?
I don't think. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it cut to another. Maybe it went away. But I know there was 3 character moments, and then there was an action scene immediately, and I was like, got it. Yep, you guys are running it, and that's fine. It's still very fascinating.
All right.
Yeah, we've waxed poetic long enough.
I think we made a show.
I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. We thank you so much for listening. If you want more of this, go on down to patreon.com/Green and Faceless, and there'll hopefully be more of it soon. And also twice a week. Safe travels, and good night.
Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.